libertarian at heart. Do what you want.
much like the legal system, I assume that a minor is a minor, regardless of 17, 12, or 6. But whatever, I guess. So as far as that topic is concerned, which we will not talk about on the air for 13 more seconds, so we don't get demonetized. So
we might as well get it out of the way now rather than trip at the finish line.
No, not at all. So today we're talking about the least important character in the Dresden Files. The man, the myth, the legend, Harry Dresden.
Well, he brought up...
Come on, I can pivot away from a topic.
And it wasn't the underground kind, so he was like, nope, we're out of here.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yes, we've gone through all of the TV tropes up to Dresden himself. And now we can...
We're still alive.
Yeah, we've gone through the friends and the family and the fairies and the divinities, and now we're just at Harry, which is...
Are we done after this? Is that it? Or does TV Tropes been slayed?
Are you underestimating her ability to find more wacky topics?
No, I figured... I actually didn't know if TV Tropes had an end.
No, of course not. Much like the internet, it is forever. But it's the end of this page and this topic. Like, yeah. So, for all we know, next the director's going to be like, I found this fan fiction called My Immortal. Like, everybody should read it, and we should talk about it on the show.
You're the one that has a dog that has the name of it, basically that.
It's a mainstream reference. You can't tell me.
My Immortal has impacted more people than Doctor Who.
No. I mean, in a negative way, maybe, but... I'm aware of it by name and like a couple of little nibbling, like maybe I've read a paragraph one time on accident, but yes, Doctor Who.
The best, stupidest shit. I've not read much of it, but just like a paragraph here and there, but there's something so concentrated stupidity that I can appreciate.
Right. And my dog's name is a name and a title. That name was like 7 words jammed together.
It said something close
that
to
wasn't
a
name. That was a fucking password. It was like XKCD, horse, crow, 7, rainbow. That's my name. I'm like, hey, dude, it's your name. Your parents hated children. I get it, or whatever. I'm sorry if we do have a horse, 7, crow, rainbow out there listening. I mean, no offense. I'm just literally plucking words out of the ether right now, but
I'm sure
I'll take the offensive stance. If that's your name and you haven't changed it and you're legally able to, you need to kill yourself.
Wow.
Or just change it.
Yeah. Speaking of demonetized, I'm pretty sure that's on the list. So suicide prevention, please put the 1-800 number on the thing. I do not ascribe to his point of view on that. So.
Silently, he does. He's typing it in the chat right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 1-800 number, you jackass. That's what I'm typing. No.
They can't see that.
So anyway... we're pivoting away from that topic back to the thing that we were doing.
Didn't we do that? And then we pivoted to that topic.
So. Yeah, that's why we're pivoting again. Like, it's either Harry Dresden on ice.
About pivots.
Yeah, it's Harry Dresden on ice now. We're just doing those little pirouettes or whatever on the way to the topic. So, Mab has been grooming Harry for the winter mantle for far longer than previously thought.
I mean... Define
there's like 8 paragraphs in this thing. Like
that means we can skip it, right?
In like, I'm just saying I didn't read it, and I'm not gonna. So
I appreciate that this person said like, well, in Summer Night, something about Lloyd Slate, but I don't think she really got the idea other than he would be a good option as a backup until later. Granted, she knows everything about him. And then blood rights, something. How's blood rights connected?
When confronted about his heritage, Kincaid tells Harry, I'm as human as you are.
God,
we know that.
Line.
Yeah. But it seems out of character, as he has no problem telling Dresden the means he would use to kill him. Why would he outright lie about his status?
Because he could.
Yeah. Because it's what the author would do.
Doesn't also, tell him his home address or his full name or what his title really was or even what his past employers were, as we saw in that book. It's just, that line has nothing to do with Mab, essentially.
Yeah, that entire paragraph and the subpoints like don't add to it whatsoever, unless they're trying to argue that Harry's a changeling, like. But again, that's not actually in the text, so I don't want to give that ammunition. And we're pretty sure he fucking wasn't,
Yeah.
because the author said so.
Well,
like,
even if he was, by now, his decision-making process of only ever being a wizard would have made him just...
Right. Yeah, I mean...
Right, so in this paragraph of everything, so then they go to changes in cold days and stuff. If they're trying to go back, whatever, like back to Margaret, essentially, of Mab using information of trying to get Harry eventually, but then she also gave the option of choosing the Winter Knight to Maeve. But they're kind of ignoring the whole thing that Mab was really using the pressure of, like in Deadbeat, when he needed information. And it's like, if you become my Winter Knight, I'll give you the information or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, like, sure.
The next one's going to be fun. Harry is a Nephilim.
No, he's not. Can we please stop with that? No, it's not.
We have to.
No, we don't. We have free will, allegedly.
Yeah, that's right. You're the not free will guy.
So it says they're supposed to be ridiculously tall. Uriel takes a really personal interest in Harry. Uriel is stated to be subtle, but Harry does things that no one is able to predict.
What?
Harry is unusually resistant to temptation. That's not because of Nephilim. That's either his own...
because he's the protagonist.
That too.
Starborn.
But also the Starborn shit.
Right.
Which is basically one and the same. The dream conversations Harry has with Malcolm involve Malcolm hinting to Harry that dark times lie ahead and archangels have intellectus, or he's an intelligent person who's been around as a ghost and he knows that the BAT's coming.
Can we name a single supernatural character with more information than Harry that isn't already indicating dark times are ahead and hasn't been doing so for... Like fucking Rashid did. Is he an F? Well, yeah, he's a god, apparently. But still.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's a Nephilim, apparently.
Everybody except for Harry knows that dark times are
coming. Oh my god, this thing is still going. Somehow, this is going to... Like, Uriel is the archangel who killed the firstborn in Egypt.
Uh-huh.
And that matters. Why?
Because he's going to kill Thomas? Because I don't know.
When Molly confirms Harry's identity with her sight, she asks him, "Have you come to take me away?" Many depictions of angels involve them escorting souls to the afterlife. They just said escorting. It's escorting. But yeah, we saw one of them with Father Forthill at the end of Ghost Story, and Molly was responding to the thing that Harry had just said of, "I've come to find my killer." Molly thought of herself as his killer, and so she said, "Have you come to take me away to hell?"
No, that would have required finishing the book. Silly.
We know Uriel can shed or loan his grace and then is fully human. What does that have to do with anything? If Jesus is any indication, he'd still be both fully angel and fully human, allowing the angel properties to be passed on to Harry.
What?
That's not how angels work. God.
I mean, if he's... I think... Granted, we don't know yet what the deal is with Jesus. I think Son of God has slightly different properties to him than, quote unquote, just an angel.
Right.
But, who am I to say?
There's a whole core of angels up in
bad
heaven
news
just
because too
out
much
more
power
angels.
with human free will. Being conceived gracelessly, Harry did not have a lot of power to start with, and mastering his power slowly and responsibly. I think they're using words with definitions that they don't really intend.
I think they're using a different Harry. I think they're talking about Potter because he's the one who starts off like a fledgling. This one is very, very brawny and very, very technical and just keeps getting stronger.
Harry got to talk with Malcolm, who said some prerequisites had been met right after Uriel was allowed to interfere in Harry's life. No, that was because Sheila had appeared and interfered. Lashiel had crossed the line, and so Malcolm was able to counterbalance.
Again, if you're going to point out things that actually happen in the book, we can just get off this page right now. because we will have solved everything.
There's so many bullet points for this, and they just don't connect.
Well, if you draw a line in MS Paint, they'll probably.
Well, I personally think all of these topics have.
The red ink could just go. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these have multiple authors is the problem. So.
I don't know this disparate amount, but making this little sense. I think it's the same person. This sounds to me like it's the same person. Like, I've cracked the code. Now let me tell you why I haven't actually cracked the code. Is that it? Have we covered all the bullet points in this particular theory? Did we do it?
Okay, we can move to Harry as a direct descendant of Merlin.
Okay, yes, maybe, probably. Who cares?
Because everything goes back to those ideas of the journals. Harry was born on Demon Reach. No, he wasn't. He was probably born in some fashion of a hospital.
He was born in our hearts, is where he was born. All right? It's that simple. He was born of the Virgin Margaret and became man, suffered and died and was buried, and on Demon Reach he rose again. And fulfillment of the scriptures.
And then something.
Was I blasphemous enough? Did I cover it all?
Hopefully. It's like the critter Christmas in South Park. It's like that would explain the familiarity he has the first time he goes there. You're not familiar with the place just because you were born there, because you don't have like memory functioning yet.
Yeah,
and they explain.
It's a good thing that wasn't explained in the books either.
Yeah.
This person just skimmed. They just skimmed the story. They were like, every other page. You know what, Harry? Intellect, angel. Yeah, we're good. I got this. Boom.
I agree that Demon Reach has had at least something to do with Harry's birth.
Well, Demon Reach is actually the father, don't you know?
So Margaret was the geosexual.
I mean,
I thought it was Uriel. Right. So Demon Reach and Uriel made Dresden, and then Margaret adopted them.
They're the same transubstantiated being working through time. Duh.
Wow. That's really opened my mind to this. In fact, I'm going to put my mind right over here so we can continue talking about this.
He's a trans geosexual. This was the most progressive series all along, and all the people who were calling Jim a chauvinist just didn't understand.
Right. Hold on. J.K. Rowling just died, so she just trans geosexual.
So someone said that this was
I don't know. She did make the Whomping Willow. That thing definitely pounded.
Yeah. Yes, and which gender did that identify with?
It's wood.
It was non-specific. It went after girl and boy students alike. It didn't care.
Well, I mean, that just implies that it's bi, but what does it identify as?
It's wood.
Smash.
Because it also went after the car, for the record, so
so actually it's a dragon, yeah, because dragons fucking cars. That's a subreddit, apparently.
I can't know this,
but now you do. Where's the more you
until
know
it gets flushed later? So luckily my brain is right here for washing.
You'll be trying to sleep, and then at like 1 a.m. it's like, dragons fucking cars, what? And it'll keep you up at night.
No, I mean, I need to not know about every single little like fetish on the internet, but I've been on the internet long enough to have seen some shit that doesn't even really rate.
But apparently, EG can help you with that, and he can teach you about all of them.
Like, for crying out loud, we referenced The Immortal, so I'm really not sure that dragons fucking cars even, like, where does that in the scale? Like a 7, maybe? So.
I think it depends. Do you think it depends on the make and the model and the year? Because, like, if Ferrovex is hitting up a 2018 car, is that underage?
So, in a weird, twisted way, this is becoming a question about like cloning, and like it kind of becomes like, because cars don't age, right? So they're not immature and then later mature. I mean, you could argue for like a break-in period if like the carburetor and the oil needs to get
No,
in
they're
the
like
gears
benders.
and shit,
They
but like,
they pop out of the manufacturer.
but that's
as
what
an
I'm
adult.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, so
He's like
so
4
like,
years old.
do they talk about this topic in Westworld? Because don't they have like replicants? Like, you know, so if you murder a replicant and they're only 4 years old, is that you're killing a child, or how does that work? Or not at all, because it's literally property in this case, you know, so it doesn't have any legal rights or human qualities or anything. You fucking weirdo. Why are we talking about this? That's
I don't know.
next week.
I don't know,
we
but
could
I
talk
could
about while we're
we could easily
recording,
go
so.
down a different road as what property.
Yeah, let's go get your 11 shades of necrophilia. We'll bring that up alongside whether or not a 2018 model car
Because my
is a
serious question
minor,
was, can a car consent? Are these anthropomorphic cars, or is it the car have AI?
right?
Like the
Well,
Teslas
and
that understand what they are?
Maybe the
But
dragons know something
importantly-
we don't.
is Lightning McQueen a homunculus, or is he a separate, distinct entity?
He's
Why
a
does he
terrible,
have teeth?
terrible character, and that movie is awful.
Why does he have eyes that aren't where his headlights are?
But the teeth bother me more.
Why does he have doors if there's no people? Why are there sidewalks?
So this is a complete
We're
tangent.
way
Have you
off
ever
topic.
heard of Starlight Express?
I mean, it sounds familiar.
Okay, so Cats, like the movie, the play, and everything, made
Okay.
by Andrew Lloyd Webber. He had another thing called Starlight Express. It's about trains. It's basically cars, from what I understand, but it's about trains. So it's like the underdog sports story, but trains. So there's people.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
It's people dressed up as trains in a caboose, and they're roller skating around, and they will race and they will fight with each other, and it's like it is one of the most bizarre things I have ever heard of or come across. And some of the videos I saw of it on YouTube, they're all in German, because apparently it really took off in Germany.
So it's Human Centipede, but early.
It's like
No.
one of the weirdest,
They're
most
like individual.
80th things, because they're people on
She's
roller
Optimus
skates.
Prime.
Yeah.
Did you look this up?
Oh, I'm looking at pictures.
Excellent. That's
Like
on
this-
your hard drive forever.
Well, it's Google. It's a cache. I could just delete cache and it's gone forever, like
So
my
you
brain.
think.
But
Nope.
yeah, I mean,
know.
like this chick, she's got like train. It's like a cattle guard, because trains don't have like hubcaps, but she's using them as hubcaps, which is very bizarre. And she's got the like 3 foot tall red and white hair. And
Oh, the mohawk? Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
She did look
I mean,
pretty
I guess
cool, but they
that's a
have like
mohawk, but
there's like this really like 50s diner looking chick at some point, and there's like this
Right.
older like train that's about to be decommissioned or something, and they look very gruff and like grimy. They did all
Okay,
of the
that
really
one's more
basic 80s sports movie with trains, and like how do trains have competition? Like how do they fight each other? Because
Yeah.
that's what they do. It's so fucking
Look,
weird.
I'm just going to say this, and we're going to get canceled, but I feel like it needs to be said. I feel like some artists aren't inspired. They just figured out a way to capitalize on what other people might consider a mental illness, right? Because, yeah, I mean, sports story, fine, whatever, but like from what you're describing anyway, obviously it's just right here, but like the only unique part about it is that it also involves trains for some inexplicable reason, you know? And I think the same thing about like horror authors, right? Like horror authors just took some irrational childhood fear and then figured out a way to encapsulate that in a story. And then, like, what's the one we just watched? Bird Box, right? Bird Box, big deal in the last couple of years. I only just watched it, but it's one of those things, like, to me, it's very easy to see connections potentially to, like H.P. Lovecraft stuff. But, it's just one of those things where it's just like, dude, straight up just took, like a childhood fear and capitalized on it, but like this is just like, why trains? Not to mention the fact that we were already talking about Dragon's fucking cars, and now I've got to think about how trains might be involved in this process. I'm going to leave that to your imagination to fill in the rest, but Stephen King's It might have something to do with it. So anyway, Can we talk about Ebenezer now and how he's a descendant of Merlin? So
We could have, but you decided to look this up. So
it's her fault. I have to have contextual knowledge. But now we can talk about how Harry is a descendant of Merlin, probably.
No,
Maybe.
Harry
No, we
was
did
born
that
on
already.
Demon Reach.
yeah, no, we
Like-
did that too.
Okay, Harry is Demon Reach. That's the part we were
Yay.
missing.
That's
He's-
true.
Oh. He was born on Demon Reach because he is Demon Reach?
Yeah, so wherever you go, there you are. Yeah, sure.
So he was
I
born in
understand.
Max, and he was born. Where hasn't he been
Right.
born by that logic?
I understand why I'm having trouble keeping up. It's because I'm dumping cash in the middle of this conversation because I just connected how the whole geosexual thing came up, but I missed when we started that topic apparently. So
No, it was there. We
Anyway.
were still talking about the dragons fucking cars, and you were running through that in your head for a while.
yeah, see, and then dumping cash as the thoughts were processing, but we're good now. So
All right.
Harry is related to Kemmler.
No,
I don't see it, but okay.
Yeah. Well, no, he has
9. I
Bob.
should say 9.
Nine.
Oh my god, I quit. I
See,
finally
this is why
read the
I don't
thing.
read this thing. I let you people
No.
do it for me.
So the second bullet point, I see your theory and raise you one. Harry is amnesiac Kemmler. It's why he's so destructive.
Kemmler
Good.
was not
This
a
is-
starboard.
Is this Memento now?
Like, so we don't have Benjamin Button Merlin. We have Benjamin Button Kemmler.
Kemmler was Merlin. Harry is Kemmler is Merlin.
Kemmler's an inside job. Wait, okay, yeah.
No, Kemmler is Rashid, who is Vadarung.
And has a thing for islands, apparently. So,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he's attracted to Harry, geosexual.
right.
It all makes sense. It's what the author
Yes.
would do.
Right. Clearly, Jim is into writing some crazy erotic fiction when we weren't looking.
He
so,
lives in the woods
you know.
now. He lives among nature. There's something to this.
Does he have his own Whomping Willow?
I don't know. We have to ask him the next time he comes on.
as long as he checks for squirrels first. All right. So,
I guarantee you, there's a
I'm
there's
about
a
to pop a blood vessel in my brain. This is
there's
bad.
a sex toy out there called Whomping Willow. I guarantee.
I would
it
not be
definitely
surprised.
exists.
There's cars fucking dragons. I'm sure this is a thing. Rule
Yeah, but
34
no,
and
this
all
would be
that.
something you could buy as opposed to a car fucking
yeah.
dragon, which you can simply imagine while you have your Whomping Willow.
I'm sure you can also buy it. Like, anyway.
No, dragons aren't real. Silly.
Well, I'm not saying like a real dragon any
Then what's
more
the
than you
point?
can buy a real Whomping Willow.
I could buy a real Whomping Willow.
Well, whatever happens in Jersey stays in Jersey, then I guess.
It's the toxic
So,
waste man. It does everything.
Harry is Kemmler. Harry's related to Kemmler. Harry is using Canis. What?
But I think it's bullshit Latin, bad Latin. I think I'm not clicking
Right.
on that link, but basically,
Was planned by Justin? No.
you did it.
He's gone. Bye. Thank you. Thank God. Oh, no.
A terrible influence, apparently. Yeah, there's something about like the language choice he used for his thing is because of Demorne, but not
No.
really because they showed it in Ghost Story that how he came up with the Flickenbicus versus Demorne was using Old Egyptian, right? Just same as
Right.
Elaine.
Not to mention, I personally think that the reason why Harry uses fake Latin is like a D&D trope, right? Like, it's a pretty common assumption that like the magical language is just Latin. I don't remember if that's like an older edition thing, but like in 3.0 it became Draconic. And I don't remember if that was like a 3.0 convention or where that got codified. So like, don't crucify me if I've got, bad assumptions and information, but like it was always kind of assumed that Latin was the magic language, for nerds when, I was a kid. So to me, that's Harry doing it. It's just the only thing that's different is like, I think the rest of the wizards don't use Latin because they actually use Latin. Like they actually know Latin. So it wouldn't help them because of the whole in-universe explanation about it being insular, right? And I think Demorne using Egyptian is more a tell that he is with / adjacent to the Black Council because they're all Egyptian, apparently. in some way. At least in the comics, right? You have that whole, throwaway scene
Which
with
is
Lawrence of
only
Arabia
questionably
and whatever.
canonical, in my opinion, but
It's
it is
I
until
don't
it isn't.
Well, I don't think that the comic book writers pulled that scene out of their ass. I feel like it was at least, mentioned by Jim, so but then we've got, Cal is like one of the most prominent Black Council members we know, right? And he's very much, more of a Russian type.
Because he's Petrovich.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then you had Peabody, who was Germanic,
Granted, if Cal was Petrovich, he wouldn't be using his mother tongue for his spells, right? I don't remember what Cal used for his spells, if anything, if we heard him say anything at all.
The only one I remember him saying was Dorosh, which is some general questionable origin etymology.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and I feel like we've had discussions about how Kumori overlapped, or like whether or not that was evidence of versus Elaine versus Molly and so forth and so on, right? Because you have Molly uses quasi-Japanese. I think Elaine also uses quasi-Egyptian.
Yeah.
No, Molly can just use Elvish now. She can just download Elvish.
Right. Yeah. Problem is, she actually knows Elvish, but Molly probably doesn't need to use any of that because, she's a magical being. So, she doesn't need to insulate her human brain anymore.
Nope.
So,
gotta have a human brain first.
Yeah.
Dark Harry is what happened when adolescent Harry grew up, and what's left of He Who Walks Behind is Harry. What does that mean?
Well, let's read the argument.
I don't want to.
Yeah. All right, EG. Geez, somebody's got to read it. Like one of the three of us. Maybe we should take turns to insulate ourselves from all the brain damage.
I refuse to pull this screen up after that first episode, so it's on you too.
Yeah, I mean, since Dark Harry, quote unquote, is Harry's id, then there's going to be some obvious overlap with him being a juvenile because the id is driven by all the sexual desires and just the raw emotion and shit, right? Like that's part of it, but I don't think Harry is anything of what's left of He Who Walks Behind. Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
There's no sharing of entities between Harry and He Who Walks Behind. So I mean,
they talk about how he's clearly got a mark because he's tingled with an outsider, right? Like the first couple of books, they talk about how they can smell dark magic on him, both because he quote unquote killed Justin and because he tingled with the outsider, right? So like I think it might even be Summer Night, with the foo dogs, right? With Ancient Mai's artificial dogs, that they're smelling his wounded hand. Yeah, it's got to be Summer Night because that's when Mab stabs him.
So they were smelling blood, which is suspicious.
But he was worried about them smelling dark magic and stuff like that as well, because Harry gets all tense about being,
So, like in Stormfront, there was that dude hopped up on 3i that said, "I see He Who Walks Behind," and like, there's no way that anyone should be able to see that. And then, what was her name? The one that he summoned in Death Mask also, she says, like, you have done something. Say again?
Ulshavaris.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when Blood Rites happened, didn't He Walks Behind actually, like, I see you again, like when he was there and was taunting him a little bit?
Right.
Yeah. Well, they're buddies.
Right.
Yeah, from the old days. Harry knows about the Oblivion War.
No. Next. I don't even care what, like, unless you're going to straight up call, Jim Butcher a liar. I don't even care what your argument is. So, like,
it's just like, well, because he should know of the things that happened in backup, even though
when this came up, we said we can't tell him very specifically. He should still know it.
Right.
Yeah. And
he's
in Cold Days, he was like,
not?
"What the hell happened? Why was it this place?" And then, like, the woman, like, never even cared about her son. Like, what happened?
Right.
Never happened.
Yeah. Harry doesn't know what's going on a day-to-day basis, let alone that there's a secret fucking war going on, like a secret fucking war.
So he knows about this thing that he's very specifically not to know about, but he didn't know he had a kid. He just he's omniscient when he needs to be, but not.
Yeah. Harry is more attractive than he lets on.
Okay.
There is a page and a half here, and I really don't give a shit.
This is like
does it add anything to the understanding of the story by finding out that Harry is? Guess what? He's related to a sex vampire. So sure, Harry probably is one of those dudes that is like, I'm okay looking, but whatever.
That's what he describes himself. He's okay. He's not ugly. He's just
he's fucking ripped, right? He's got to be, some kind of attractive, but who cares?
I mean, as of like Cold Day's time, because he had done the whole rehab and workout with the previous guys.
All he does is run and lift weights to keep his night under control.
Like running around in Summer Night, and he was like looking at Billy's abs and feeling inadequate. It's like he has abs of steel. I don't even have abs of plastic.
Right. Well, I think some of the early Dresden though is he's like literally beanpole. He's the skinny kid that always runs. So he doesn't look fit, but he is. He's also malnourished because all he has for breakfast is a Coke and some corn nuts sometimes, or SpaghettiOs, right? Like, so Harry was, the malnourished running kid for sure, but it's not like he's ever been fat or anything like that, right? But then he actually builds muscle as the Winter Knight because he'd have no other recourse than to do that. So anyway,
cultivating mass.
And
he's also like an autistic nerd, which is kind of a turnoff for a lot of people. So there's more than physical appearance here.
That you just insulted most of it.
I'm an autistic nerd, okay? Like, spoiler alert, I got married. There's somebody out there for everybody. Just find the other person that's weird enough to connect with. Even EG. There's somebody out there who's into cars and dragons boning because they made it. They made the art, right? Like, you can find your people. So
who says I haven't already?
Well, you've told us of your grandma harboring at you to like get married, and so we assume that hasn't happened yet.
Oh, okay. I was like, bringing his grandma into this is the weird kind of connection that I was talking about. But
yeah, I would have just brought in the fact that I've done this podcast in the car a few times, and you don't know what happens in the car with a dragon. So,
well then.
I'm scrolling past the rest of that arguing about whether Harry's attractive or not. Harry has some extra power related to names.
No.
No. Pretty sure.
Well, he does because he's a wizard, but not because he's Harry.
It's a wizard thing, not a Harry thing.
Yeah, he's the only one that takes advantage of it because he's the only one that doesn't follow social conventions because he's a dick.
No, because he doesn't care, but mostly he probably doesn't care because he doesn't know, right? Like, he just does shit because it seems natural to him.
He still does it even after Uriel basically was going to smite him for doing it. I mean, he knows that he can, whatever. He just doesn't care.
Well, he does now, but like, how many things does he name since then? Like 2? We got Octokongs and what? That's the only one I can think of. But prior to that, he did Ivy, the Chlorofiend. Yeah.
They have Mouse and Bob listed in this list because
he did a bunch of things during with the Fomor and the Titan and all that. I'm sure.
Turtlenecks.
I just can't remember offhand what they were.
Yeah, but turtlenecks even still like that's still more a colloquialism compared
to
the
ghosts, the Lecter Specters.
Yes. Well, that was the same.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So, but I still feel like some of those are shorthand and not naming them, if that makes sense. Like there's a different feel and energy in the way that he approaches the Octokongs or Ivy.
Alfred was probably the big one. That was after the fact.
After his conversation with Uriel?
Yeah, because that was Cold Days.
No, Skin Game.
Or Skin Game.
Yeah.
Where he called him Alfred?
Yeah, because Alfred needs
because that was at first, is this to be my new name? And they were talking about how Mab was coming.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think, Alfred, again, is still, I would quibble a little bit just because he is, like, he's bound to him, right? So this isn't like he found something in the wild. He's a construct that Harry is now in control of.
Yeah, but there is still this similar to, like, what happened with Lash. Like, there's this reinforcement of the entity of Alfred as being a slightly separate entity than the island of Demon Reach. They are the same, and yet they
Sure.
are not, and that's why Alfred asked for a name. So,
Okay. But yes, Harry's only claim to fame here is that he's irresponsible with this power.
yes.
Which
he's
is
he's irresponsible with a lot of power.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, I think it's his third character trait. He's stubborn, like crazy stubborn. He's something, I don't know, and then he's irresponsible. So probably just like snarky and a wise ass. And then number 3 is he's irresponsible with his power. I think those are his top 3 traits right there. As I'm saying this out loud, who knows?
And malnutrition.
That's a different episode. Yes. Yeah. Harry's 4 major superpowers are stubborn, snark, irresponsibility, and malnutrition. He's malnutrition man. Not anymore, but
hey, 3 of those, those could all probably fall under irresponsible in some definition.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. You're making me reconsider if stubbornness was his greatest superpower or if it's just irresponsibility. So
with stubborn irresponsibility, it's like, I won't do it, and you can't make me.
Right. There's got to be some twist on the Spider-Man quote in here somewhere, right? So, like, I don't know. We'll think about it.
Harry has the power to destroy angels by naming them.
Yep. Destroy angels by naming them. I mean,
because Uriel got freaked out.
I feel like that's a little extreme, but sure, you know.
I mean,
so
it bothered
Uriel
him.
Certainly, yeah, he took it very seriously, but
of course he would, to a certain extent. I don't know.
Well, I think, yeah. Again, Uriel's thing is wizards have the power to name things. Harry was using his power irresponsibly. He didn't even want to take the chance, you know. So, like, you know, it's you're using my true name, which I am like a being of pure soul, like irresponsibly. Get that shit out of your mouth, like, and just anyway.
Harry has a kind of benevolent version of Nemesis that can be transmitted. Excuse me?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
All the times that Harry is taking control of other people's bodies.
It's being transmitted through the naming.
No.
Has anybody considered that maybe friendship is the positive version of Nemesis? Because friendship is magic, and that's how Harry is infecting it.
Harry Dresden is the friends we made along the way.
He's not even a wizard. He's like 3 friends in a trench coat. So.
Taking up his duties as Winter Knight made Harry into a lycanthrope. Excuse me?
Why we got to do this while I'm drinking? Like, Jesus.
Why we got to do this at all?
Her fault. She's the boss. So
because content. Because anger,
because
impulsiveness.
Right.
Which is the same way how the street
and the lust
wolves
he
behave.
fights to keep under. So, okay. No, let's make this. It's not weird enough yet. Okay, he's not a lycanthrope. He's a wolfkin, right? Because inside he's got the hungry wolf that's always fighting to get out. So now he's got to fight the inner wolf all the time. So that wants to just like eat and fuck and whatever else nature and wolves do.
I mean, that's just what the street wolves were, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there is a parallel there, I'm sure. Yeah. So. Anyway, yeah, I don't really see that understanding adding anything to the story.
The Winter Knight mantle has certainly affected Harry. It has done those things to him and his personality. It's not calling it a lycanthrope is just calling it by the wrong name. And as we've discussed, stop naming things wrong.
Right. Yeah.
It's irresponsible.
Yeah, are there 7 types of lycanthropes where there's a version where it's like you turn into a wolf but only in your soul? And so you don't actually physically change into a wolf, but you still run around howling at the moon and trying to murder people on a full moon. Like, is that a version?
That's what.
Because I don't remember Bob bringing that up. No, because
they didn't turn into anything. They had motorcycles, and then
they were berserkers.
They turned into bikers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this one instance, so yeah.
Lycanthropes fucking bikes.
I quit twice.
Only
Thrice I
twice?
say it done.
Only twice?
Yeah, because if you say it 3 times, then it's for reals. So
Some motherfucker's always trying to bike uphill.
right.
The headaches are an early sign of Harry's precognition. No, and then continue on. Harry's
Well,
headaches
it's
are residue from Lash's death. Well, sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, you just say
specifically the bullet point says Jost, see below, and then residue from Lash's death. Which, yes, that is true.
It just
Yeah,
took them
we did it.
forever to get the answer of it's Bonnie.
Well, yeah, because nobody knew up to that point, right? So
Demon Reach knew. Mab knew.
Mm-hmm.
wow.
And his inner nemesis knew. So
The parasite is he who walks beside.
nope.
Jost.
The parasite has been in Harry's head a lot longer than anyone realized, and this one was also considered Jost, but okay. Lash was feeding Harry information without him knowing.
Well,
Possibly.
yeah. She was talking to the id that
Yeah.
said straight out in the books again.
Yeah, she
They're
said
much easier to talk to when you're asleep.
Yeah, that would. Harry really did change Lash for the better, and she's still in his mind.
Not anymore. She got excised.
She got converted.
in her new form.
Yeah, birthed.
Now she's a Tamagotchi.
Right, Harry Dresden's final powers. He will be a Knight of the Cross, the Winter Knight, the Summer Knight, wielding Soulfire with the power of a redeemed Denarian in him, probably still holding
Hold
the coin,
on.
and he will
If you're
still
gonna
start the book by getting his ass kicked.
If you're gonna do all this, don't you have to start with Harry Dresden, the first of his name, and then do all that bullshit, right? Like, come on.
Mm-hmm. The stubborn, the very burnt.
The one-handed, yeah.
Drinker of Coke, eater of Burger Kings.
The Burger King. Yeah, I don't think it's possible for both the Winter Knight and the Summer Knight to be held by one person. Someone says that Butcher himself said that it's not possible because it would cause like a matter-antimatter explosion inside a person.
Mm-hmm. You could do it for you could maybe get one blast off, and then it's probably yourself.
And that would give a new depth to just how insane Slate actually was, as he specifically stated that he was planning on taking both mantles. Did he state that?
He was promised, quote unquote, that he would get that power, yes. But he doesn't obviously know that it would kill him. But yeah, that was Aurora's. Aurora was going to give him that power, and then he was going to be able to kill Maeve with it or whatever.
Okay, because he can't be that stupid, can he? Apparently he can.
Well, I mean, he's basically bent to the will of the mantle he has already, which would want power, even if it wouldn't necessarily want that power. But yeah, I don't think he knows shit about how it works.
Yeah. Harry's career will parallel Merlin's. Not Langtree, but the Merlin.
He's gonna be a strange woman lying in a pond distributing swords.
No, he's going to be Obi-Wan. Like Merlin, he will take on an Obi-Wan role for a group of badass normals. Maybe Knights of the Cross, maybe Einherjar, or maybe ex-police security consultants.
Only one of those count as normal by any definition of the word I'm familiar with.
Badass normals. Well, I mean, the Knights of the Cross are technically normals. It's the sword that's special.
Listen, if you're holding that shit, you have
asterisk.
plot armor to until you don't. And if you're an Einherjar, you're a literal revenant. That's not.
Murphy and Butters have plot armor until they don't. So, what's the point?
Well, one of them needs to lose his plot armor very, very quickly.
Well, yeah, because the other one's already dead, so you can't hurt her
but
anymore.
she wasn't holding a sword, and he currently is.
I could never hurt her. She didn't exist.
Don't even try. So,
like Merlin, he will be betrayed and imprisoned by someone close to him at the end of the story.
That would be a very happy ending.
it would be an interesting take, but I just don't see it, you know. So like I said, I feel like we got a little bit of foreshadowing in Stormfront. Now, word of Jim is he hasn't decided yet, theoretically. Like, he's got a couple of endings in mind. But I think when it comes down to it, you know, like, I don't expect that's the way that it's going to go, but could be fun. So it would be unique anyway. Like, I mean, I don't remember Merlin getting imprisoned, but I guess I don't know the lore that well.
Merlin, yeah, he was potentially imprisoned in a tree or something by Nimue.
Morgana, Morgan Le Fay, one of the 58 names she had.
Was it Morgana that did it? I thought it was the other woman that did it, Nimue.
I don't know. They're all the same person at some point in the story, so it really doesn't matter. See? Geosexual. Stuck in a tree.
Is it a geosexual if it's a tree, or is it a transsexual?
That's Earth.
No, there's a word for it. I can't remember, but
and he's gonna look it up.
No, I thought about it, but I don't care. So
the
anyway,
word is getting a stiffy. It's actually a phrase, but
yeah,
you know.
Wood for sheep. Anybody got wood for sheep?
Yeah, Catan for the win.
Thank you. I was like, not just being weird. This is a reference.
You're still being weird.
You're still being weird, yeah.
The fact that you're with and amongst people who can accept that
is why we're still here doing this so many years later.
I think we're bored now.
Never.
Harry will follow the path of Tamlin, potentially, but we don't know. I don't think he should leave the winter mantle
He's
yet.
Going to fall down a well. He's
Right.
going to be relieved.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is some of their justification is his upgrade of relationship with Carrie, Karen. So spoiler alert.
Right, and so is
That's
Laura
not the
going to help
path.
him out? No.
Yeah.
Laura's going to
Yeah, I wouldn't see it for sure. So, yeah. I mean, that just kind of brings it back around to involving Molly or an as yet unnamed.
How can Molly
future
help
love
him out when
interest.
she's his employer too?
It's what the author would do. So
yeah, totally in his style. For her to not act like her character.
She clearly still has some free will, right? So like I'm not going to speculate on the nature and range of that. You're right. I'm sure Mab and Winterlaw and a few other things are going to help constrain that. But so for example, as a support thing, so I'm not just talking out of my ass, though a lot of that is happening. You have the whole thing in Battlegrounds, so Peace Talks in Battlegrounds, where it's like, are you asking Molly or are you asking the Winter Lady? Because there are different answers there, for example. So she still is able to act in some ways. Anyway.
Harry will join the White Court vampires and marry Lara. When was this written?
Yeah, I know. I'm curious about it too because it's somewhat plausible right now. I don't think he's going to be a vampire, but
well, he can't become a White Court vampire.
Yeah, because they're born.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, whatever.
There's all sorts of obviously questions, and none of us expect that whole arrangement to go smoothly.
Right. I think it's going to go perfectly. I don't know what you're talking about.
Honestly, I still I know I'm up in the night with this, but I would not mind seeing them as a power couple that fights evil together. Just saying. But I don't think it's going to be all hunky dory and whatever. And I certainly don't think the relationship's going to be any kind of actually sexual, since then she would eat him,
or she would just be burned.
Right.
No, he's going to be able, with his pure Harry energy, to slay her demon with his sexual prowess.
Is that what Bioimmortal's about? Is that so?
And then, as a result of this, because he will have boinked her, she will then die in the next book.
Well,
because that's how it goes.
Yeah. If only the sex wasn't so good that you killed my demon and left me mortal.
Actually, that'll be it. He will kill her himself with the power of his penis.
Now we're definitely in fan fiction territory, so possibly written by either Harry or Thomas.
Depending on who you ask who read these books, it's literally what the author would do.
Right. So. Yeah, it's just, I mean, all of the evidence is there. It's like a breadcrumb through the series. So
Harry will get a job working for Marcone by the end.
Nope.
That would be fun. For Marcone to actually, like, you must do this thing for me, it'd have to be similar to Skin Game of, like, so much pressure is on Harry to do it that he has to be clever to figure it out. And there's all these good reasons to do whatever it is. That seems vaguely interesting.
But no.
Harry appears to be wearing a hat to other wizards who view him with the sight.
You know what?
because-
Fine.
That's
Fine.
Is that what we're doing? Every cover is us looking at Harry with the sight. No,
That's what it is.
but
That's why we've never seen him.
yeah, it isn't. But that'd be fucking hilarious. It's like, this is what true Harry would look like. Deep down in his soul, he wears a hat.
He wears a fedora, absolutely.
Fucking jeez, man. No,
He absolutely does. And that fedora has "Milady" written on it.
right?
And
Yeah,
it tips itself.
Yeah, I certainly believe that when people see Harry Dresden, they see the level 20 Avenging Angel version, and I don't mean with like wings and an actual angel, but like
No, more like Hellboy vision of
just something along those lines where it's just like the sheer shock of the power and determination and what his stubbornness actually translates to, is like a Captain America level drawing the line, like I'm about to quote Picard to really mix up my metaphors here, but like his will is going to be unshakable. That's the shit that people are just like, knocked over by, not the hat, but
What they see is what he would look like if he wasn't a runner and still had the diet he has.
Harry Dresden, but with the Thor bod from the last movie, like so. Yeah, really the tusks to come out, and anyway.
Harry will start locking up out of control warlocks he cannot rehabilitate in Demon Reach.
Nope.
No. That doesn't even sound like his character, let alone
And
what
when
the
is
author.
since when is he going to become the warlock rehabilitator?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with him locking them up until they can be rehabilitated, because he wants to rehabilitate the warlocks, like much better than chopping their fucking heads off every time, right? And now that he's outside of the council, maybe he has, a little bit more leeway to do that. But while I think that's important to his character, I don't think that's going to be where the story goes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think we're about to have book 17 where we've got Harry and Hawk Girl, so that we can Hawkeye, Hawk Girl, whatever Kate's. She also goes by Hawkeye anyway, right? But I don't think we're gonna have Harry with a teenage sidekick. I think we did that with.
Oh, we
Harry
did.
did that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're not gonna have him trying to rehabilitate, a different warlock and doing the Robin thing. I don't know, but. Sorry, too many superhero references. So, yeah, like I said, I think it's important to his character. I don't think, we're going to see more of that necessarily.
I mean, he does have a castle now. He can attempt to do some early reach out. He can make
Because
his
he
own
has
Hogwarts.
land doesn't mean he has the time or the ability.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be an outsourcing thing, right? Like, he'd have to outsource that to somebody somewhere.
And he
But
really
he can
doesn't
be
have the context
Dumbledore.
for that anymore because he got kicked out of magic school.
But he still got the Paranet, and he had his people who are
What's the
friendly.
Paranet going to do with a warlock, though? They're more likely to get killed.
Fort Hill, like, there are dozens of people that he could foist orphans onto that would not even make it weird, like, or outside of their character or anything like that.
Listen, it's always weird handing over an orphan to the Catholic Church. I don't care what you think.
Fort Hill hasn't touched anybody on screen that we're aware
And
of.
he even allowed Fitz to make the joke.
Right?
Listen, what he does in the bowels of St. Mary's Church, I don't want to know.
Do we have to say bowels?
Yes,
I think he does.
Yeah.
those sandwiches got to come from somewhere. So,
The kitchen.
Yeah, right.
you poor innocent soul.
Yeah. No comments.
Are we done yet?
I think so.
I mean, ironically, we are done. We got done 5 minutes early. We can talk about Cars and Dragons again if you want. Or
By all
Trains?
means.
do we have more tropes? So, like for next time.
Now, when a seat back folds down to make more space when you're entering the car from behind.
Well,
do you think that counts as like a mature woman who has some control over her backside?
No, we're not doing this. That's
you said
not
you
how
wanted
girls
to talk
work.
about this.
So here's another subreddit for you. That's not how girls work. Go there and learn about how girls work. So
he's not talking about girls. He's talking about cars.
He said grandma. So
I didn't say grandma. I said mature woman.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So earlier you were talking about your grandma. So anyway, that's still not how girls work. So females, is that what we should do? Should I get my full Ferengi on? Females. So, make it really weird.
Yeah, and how do you know which car is a female? Like, if it has the
oversized
boobs. If it has the oversized spoiler, does that mean it's a guy car? And then
you're the car sexual, like yeah.
No, I'm just the friend
with the vehicle's preference.
I'm a friend with the dragon who doesn't care.
Okay, so you're the car in this instance because that's gonna.
Oh, I supply the car.
So wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you be the expert in this case?
I'm not asking a dragon while it's fucking my car what it thinks. That's
How did you get the car to get it to the encounter in the first place?
It took a lot of work.
Okay. You drove it.
I just drove it there.
Did you just go somewhere and kidnap a random ass car and you didn't even bother finding out?
That's called Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, right. But you didn't find out what gender it identified before you took it to the dragon. And then from this conversation, I'm assuming the dragon didn't care because there doesn't seem to be a preamble. The dragon just put the seat down. Apparently,
so I'm very curious. Does the car? Does the dragon want the car to be like a sedan or something fancy, like a Lamborghini?
Again,
or
if you like it, sometimes the dragons they want exotic, so they want a Maserati or they want a Lamborghini. They want something with an accent that is very high maintenance.
Just so we're clear, I'm talking to the audience now. I'm not talking to these two. Like, let's
actually
just
not talking. You're frozen.
But I don't blame you if you don't watch the show ever again.
That's perfect. So, you said, just so I'm clear, I'm talking, and then you froze and glitched out and said nothing. Nobody heard what you were saying.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't blame you if you never watch the show again, is what I'm saying. So I'm not sure I would ever watch the show again.
The fact that you guys didn't get this topic out of the way on the other podcast nobody watches when I wasn't even here last week means this is on you.
We didn't know that you liked fucking dragons last week, so...
You knew. You just didn't want to admit it to yourself.
It's definitely news to me.
Also, I don't like fucking dragons. You keep adding things to this.
Yes, I know all the component parts of cars and dragons. How dare I add dragons to the mix? Is that what we're upset about?
I have nothing to do with this.
You're the supplier.
I am incidental to the car. Fucking the dragon is going to fuck the car regardless of my presence.
Are you sure? Because you're the supplier.
Well, I mean, that particular time I was the supplier. The dragon was grumpy, and otherwise, bad things would have happened. So, this is what happens. I can't explain it. This is what 7 weeks of TVTropes will do to you. I don't know.
No. You were like this before the TVTropes.
Yeah, you don't get to blame it on that. Because apparently the signs have been there. We should have known. Yeah. We should have, so it's been there before the TVTropes, I would assume. So, yeah.
Did you see Malignant yet?
Next week we're doing Die Hard, so that's great. The true Christmas movie.
Yeah. So. Next week, the 18th, we're talking about Die Hard because we missed the Muppets.
Yep.
No, we didn't miss it.
Well, you weren't here on the day that it was scheduled, and it was your movie, and therefore we didn't do it.
So that's not missing it. That's choosing not to do it.
We had a gigantic argument about whether genre and theme and character and plot and all that. Of course,
I didn't watch.
I mean, more specifically, we had a giant argument on whether 18 movies can be boiled down to one argument in one movie that one time. But, whatever.
There was 2 different arguments happening. It was a ridiculously long episode.
Right.
And then at some point we have the end of the year where we all try to get together, which
is going to happen sometime in the middle of next year.
right? Which might be at the beginning of next year.
Wait,
So-
dates are hard. Scheduling hard.
No,
but
dates
yeah,
are easy. They're always there. It's just
dates when everyone is available is impossible, apparently. So that was a
you
lot of
bitched out
TV
too.
tropes, and now potentially we're done. Who knows?
we better be done.
There are other pages. It's just whether or not they're worth diving into is the question.
I mean, none of it was worth diving
Yeah,
into.
if
But
this was any indicator, then no. No.
Yes, seeing you guys be unhappy with how stupid it was really fun for me. So we can do that
Well,
more.
it's not all about you.
Yeah, but I'm the one with the buttons.
For now.